Now I just want to show you what I have created here. I have 4 identical strip set tubes. This, if you remember, was my top fabric, and that was my bottom fabric of my strip set tube. Wonky edges on all of them. This is a tube. I folded it in half, and I've straightened everything out. I have 4 identical strip set tubes. Now, here comes the design it yourself method. And I'm going to put my camera up and I'll show you what I'm going to do now. Now, what I'm going to do might seem a little bit unconventional for regular Bargello people, but what I'm going to do, I know that these are exactly the same, or pretty much exactly the same. But what we're going to do, now there's a way that you might want to have a little bit of organization, and not a tremendous amount, and I'll show you what I'm going to do. We're going to be working, we have 4 strip sets, we're going to be working with 2 of them, 2 identical strip sets that I'm going to neaten up this edge, okay? I want to neaten up this edge here and make that really nice. And it's just like a jelly roll. You want to keep everything perfectly straight. Now, this is where it comes in that you want to design your own Bargello. And what I have done is I have looked at dozens, maybe hundreds and hundreds of pictures of Bargello quilts. I don't have a pattern in front of me, but I've come to realize that the wider the strip, I learned in art class, the wider something is in a flat dimensional painting, it advances. The smaller something is, that recedes into the background, right? Your perspective. So that, I figured out, is when you get your wave of your Bargello, the wider pieces come towards you, and the tiny little slivers that you're going to cut off your strip set go into the background, and that's what makes the wave, as also obviously with the fabric placement staggering it. So all a Bargello is, without all of those graphs and charts, I hope it's going to turn out, I don't know, is wide and then smaller cuts. But right now what we have to do is we have to neaten up the edge of two of these strip sets, and you can see that I've made them perfectly, let me see if that's in frame, yes, I've made them perfectly straight. My bottom is perfect, my top is perfect. Now that's a lot of fabric to get through, but I know that my good old FISKARS ruler is going to get through that. And now what I'm going to do, you're just going to have to sort of follow along with me. Hopefully you'll watch this tutorial from beginning to end and figure it, see how I've hopefully am figuring this out without really using a pattern, although the pattern is in my head, and the pattern I'm sort of copying from different quilts that I've seen. But for now, I'm just going to show you what I do. This is where, again, the fun of you creating your own pattern comes into play, without like cutting three and a half, and then 3 1/4, and then 3, and then 2 3/4, and you need 2 of this and 4 of that. I can't wrap my head around that. So I'm going to almost eyeball it. But I have to make sure that that's the side of my quilt, that's the top side. Again, you'll follow along with me. These 2 are the top and the bottom of my quilt. 1/2, top, bottom. There's, as it were, 4 4 strip sets we're working with, but we're going to end up with a wide strip set on the top and a wide strip set on the bottom. And I think they're going to be identical. I think that's how I've looked at the other patterns and the other pictures, and they end up absolutely identical, and then you just sew that center seam. So for now, this is the left, let me see, this is the left side we're working on of our quilt, the top left, this is the bottom left, and those are the top right and the bottom right, but we're not worried about that because we are going to be sewing one strip at a time. Our quilt is going to evolve in front of our eyes, and it's going to be your own design. Okay? This is the best way that I can explain it. Now, I have made every single solitary strip lovely and straight. I'm pretty assured there's no wrinkles. Everything is laying where it wants to lay. Now, this might not go all the way through because there's quite a lot, but I'll just check. Probably it will. I'm going to just slice off so I get a nice, decent, lovely straight edge here. I'm going to line my ruler up. This is my trusty FISKARS. I'm going to line this up, and I'm going to take away all this stuff and make this a lovely, lovely, lovely straight edge. If it doesn't go through, I'll finish it with my other rotary cutter, but I think it will. Look at that. Good old FISKARS. So now, the beginning of my BARGELLO quilt. I've done 2 strip sets, exactly the same. Now this is where you're maybe wanting to go and take maybe a post-it note. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to carefully cut this 2 strip sets exactly the same, and the top one I'm going to work with, and I'm going to show you. The bottom one I'm going to be very careful and place it over on my other table, and then I'm just going to place all the consecutive strip sets on top of each other, and I'll show you that. Now this one I want a little bit wide. I don't know how wide that is, but I do know that when I sew the top 20 and then I go to sew the bottom 20, they're going to be the exact same size. Bear with me. Again, I'm going to straighten this off. That looks a nice. I want a wide. I want my left edge to pop out at me. So I'm going to do this a little bit wide, however wide that is. I don't know how wide, but I do know it's all straight. It's all lovely. My lines are all super on my fabric here. I'm just going to slice off 2 lots. One lot is for the top. So I'm going to put over there, and this one is for my bottom, which I'm going to put now over on my other table. And then I'll just build up my sets, but you'll see what I'm going to do now. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, without cutting anything else, I'm going to open up my first strip and between my 2 blacks. I'm just going to open up that seam. Look, you don't have to get a seam ripper, just do that. And then there's my first strip, the top left. Now, what I want to make this a little bit smaller, a little bit not as wide, because I think of the design I want it to be a little wider, and then I'm going to narrow it, and you'll see. This is where again your design comes into it. You might want to put it on graph paper if you do want to follow a pattern. I'm going to wing it. I have an idea in my head, but this is where the fun begins and where you don't really have to be incredibly specific, because if you've done all of your sewing perfectly and you've done all of your ironing, the strip sets don't have to be like, well, if you want to, absolutely, do 3, 3 1/4, 3 1/2, you know, 2 down to 2 3/4, 2 1/4. But I'm just doing it this way. I know that this is slightly smaller than that, and that's what I want right now. So I'm going to do this. It's funny. There's my second strip set. Okay, I'm going to put that there. Now I'm going to take this and put it right on top of my other strip set, which is behind me on my table. Now, what I want to do, I'm not going to cut anything else. I am going to sew this. But what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go and I'm going to find the next, I'm going to go and find where it staggers down. There you go. Not ripping anything yet. Now you see how automatically that staggers down. Here's my design staggering down. So now what I want to do is I want to rip, or I want to take a seam ripper, by all means, take a seam ripper, and there you go. And there's my second strip set, my second subcut. Because what is a Bargello? It's subcutting. It's strip sets and subcutting. And this is what my whole logic is. I'm going to just keep doing this, but I'll show you. But it's very important, this part over here, to keep your other strip sets for your bottom in perfect order. As we go across and we work with this side, we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to be working from the left into the center as much as this 42 inches or 44 inches allows us of whatever cuts. I don't know how big this is going to turn out because we have a lot of seams. Now the whole thing about a Bargello is like, oh my goodness, all these seams, all these seams, all these seams. Well, if you've pressed them beautifully, you've ironed them, and look, they all, every one of them, nest. This one's going up, this one's going down. This one's going down, this one's going up. Every single one of these seams is nesting beautifully because you have taken all of the time. You have taken the time. Look how beautifully every single seam is nesting. Up, down, nesting. You can see that, yeah. And you're just going, this is the exact same size. This is the exact same size strip. And you're going to just go along, and if you want to pin it, by all means, but this is where the fun begins. So I'm going to go and I'm going to stitch this 1/4 of an inch, feeling, I can just feel where my seams are nesting beautifully. Do it with my fingers, nest it, and stitch a 1/4 inch, and I'll be back. So you can see that I've sewn these two together. This is the top left half or 1/4 of our quilt. It's long. This is going to be a decent sized quilt. If you have 40 2.5 inch strips with seams, I don't know what that turns out to be. I don't know, 60, 70, something like that, because it would be 80. I don't know, whatever it is. It's a decent size. So as I was saying in the beginning, a lot of people are saying, oh, how do I, it's all very well and good making a jelly roll, but how do I make it bigger? I'm making it bigger. I like bigger. My hips are bigger, my hair is bigger, my family's big. I don't know, I like big stuff. So here's my first thing. Now I've graduated. I don't know how big these are, but all I do know is that what's the most important thing is that my bottom match this. So I don't have to go, I'm cutting them together. Everything's perfectly fine. And so now this is a bit bigger, this is a bit smaller. I'm going to make this, I'm going to eyeball it. And surely you can eyeball it. This is going to be a little bit smaller, that's fine. Everything's nice and straight. Everything's straight here. Everything's straight on my seams. My jelly roll, as it were, is lovely and straight. My seams are straight. And I'm just going to whack off a bit here. And again, this is my strip for this one. And this one, just like it is, I'm going to put over very carefully on the top of my other pile. I'm not doing anything to that pile, but I know when I come to it's exactly this way. Now this one, again, oh, if you've noticed, I am taking the time. I am taking the time and the energy to go over to my ironing board after I sew this seam. And look, all my seams, they're great. They match perfectly. I didn't use a pin. I just nested. I nested because everything is going opposite. Everything is going opposite. We've done that. That's the whole homework in this quilt. Now this one, we have this tube, right? Now where, again, don't be ripping anything until you know where you're going. You want to joggle it down. You want to find your next bit You're there. Okay, you're there. You see your gray. I like that. I like that wave there. So now I'm gonna take this bit here. I'm gonna rip it open. I'm gonna rip it. That's fine. And then I've joggled my prints down, but you can see it's going from black and then down to the white and the green, and I'm going to go over and I'm going to sew that together. Again, just my quilt is evolving. I'm going to just go over, nest these seams, and sew this. So here we go. I've done my third row. My third row on my top left quarter of my quilt. Now, the picture I'm following, and there's a picture. There's several pictures that I have behind me. It shows a gentle wave going up, and it shows perhaps it's let me just see. Perhaps it's this size. I don't know what that size is, but I'm thinking, well, I got it. It doesn't take a rocket science to figure out it's about that width, and that's fine. It's a little bit wider than that one. So, but I'll show you what you're doing now. All my lines are straight. I'm just going to slice off. Let me just make it a little bit bigger. Taking in my seams. And again, this is the beauty of doing it this way. You're designing it as you go along. And I'm telling you, I mean, I really quite sincerely mean no disrespect to pattern makers and their measurements. I really don't. But my eyes were going cross looking at charts and designs and diagrams. And I'm thinking, why can't I just do it myself and just sort of follow that look? And I am copying from this whole tutorial from about 25 different things that I've learned. The most important thing to me is your 1/4 inch seam and your ironing, because look, this is a dottle. People go, oh my goodness, Bargello quilts, it's so hard to match all the seams. Well, I'm like, well, yeah, there are a million seams to match, but you've done it all. You've done it all in your prep work. This is the fun part. Now, what am I going to do? I'm going to take this bit over and I'm going to lay it down on the top, and everything's in order. So when I go to do the bottom, I can just see exactly what I have to pick up to copy this exact same thing. That's what you want to keep in mind. Now this one, I want to go, I just want to see, I think I want to go, the picture shows, I want to go up a little bit. Let me just see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think I want to go up from the green to make more of a motion. So I'm going to find my green, and then I'm going to go up. I'm going to go up. So I have more of a wave going up. Now what I want to do is I want to bring this down here. There's my green. I want to go up now. And I want to find where I pull it apart. So as you can see, do this before you rip anything or before you get your seam ripper. I just rip stuff. And you can see your pattern going up. So now this is the one that I just want to rip it. My pattern is going up. And I'm quite liking that. My green, everything is going up now. I'm going to go and I'm going to sew all of my seams together, and my pattern is going to go up like I like. So I'm just going to sew this seam, and as it continues. So here are my 4 top left quarter strips that I've sewn together, and you can even see just a wave starting. I have my pinks down there, and then it's going to the black. This is my top left quarter. Now what I want to do is I want to go up again, but I want to make it a little bit smaller because this is advancing. When it's done, this will be the advancing. Now I want to make it a little bit smaller to make this bit recede. So this will be my wave, and this is the beautiful wave that you get when it's receding. So I'm going to make this a little bit smaller than this piece here. Whatever that is. Now, I'm thinking to myself, if you obviously want to follow a pattern, this is the pattern. I mean, this is what you know, pattern makers have done, and you can easily follow their pattern. Now, what am I going to do? I'm going to pick this piece up. I'm going to place it over on top of my other. So when I come to do the bottom, it's exactly like this. Now, as you can see, I have over here my entire strip set hanging down about another 10 inches. I've made the top left quarter quite quickly. And that over there is going to be my top right corner and my top right bottom, right? But look how quickly, and I have gone every seam that I've made, I have gone over to my ironing board, and I'm up and down and up and down, and that's okay. I need the exercise, right? So now I know that I want to go up again, and I'm looking at the green. I'm looking at that green. Now it's up to you where you want to, you know, make your design. But I'm looking at this green because that's striking to me, the green and the pink and the black. So what do? Is I go over and I match up my green. I'm going up. You see my wave? It's going up. So I come up here. I walk my way up here to the gray, to the black, and I'm gonna rip right here between this one, and I'm gonna put it there. I'm gonna make sure that's exactly where I want it. I got my greens, I got my pinks, and it's smaller. So when it's sewn, I'm gonna make these all consecutively smaller. So my wave is going up gently. Now my Bargello is definitely colorways. I'm going to have a swathe of white, and then I'm going to have this pop of green separating my green, and then I'm going to have this pop of bright pink. Whereas a lot of Bargellos are like one beautiful faded colorway, which is awesome. Sometimes they do my head in. It's a little bit like an optical illusion. I think I'll probably mention that in the beginning. And I quite like this with sort of pretty fabric as opposed to striking fabric. Although it's so easy, I'll probably make another one. Do you believe it? I'm saying that. So anyway, I'm going to go and I'm going to right sides together, nest these seams. I know they work perfectly. I just want to show you. I've gone over, I want to make sure I sew it there, but look at my back. Every seam is beautifully pressed, easy peasy peasy to do your seams. So again, I want to make sure my seams are all in the way where they want to be, and I'm going to go and I'm going to sew that seam there. So here I've done my 5th row here. My wave is going up, and I just wanted to tell you, I did get this off another tutorial, which is a good idea because I just noticed it. I have done a stay stitch, just a stitch right along there, because you're putting this through the machine a lot. You're messing with this, and these little stitches could come out. Not these, because you're working with this seam, but this edge here, I've just done a stay stitch, and it's just stabilized that edge. Now I'm on here, and I think I want to do just another. I'm going to pull this along gently. I'm going to pull it along. Everything's perfectly straight. My bottom is straight. Everything is lovely. My strip sets are straight. That's the most important thing. Now I'm going to do another. I want to do another about 4 very smaller ones. So I will just graduate and get these a little bit smaller as I go along. Can't get too small, although some of you have seen it, just seems like just a little sliver. And that's right, really making that beautiful wave going into the background. I'll just do this slightly smaller than my previous one. And I'm just going to continue this right along until I I finish this up, but I'll do this and I'll show you. So I'm just going to go there. That looks about, maybe an 1 3/4 inches, something like that. I'm not bothered about on a regular pattern. If you want to follow, that's what that means. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to, my good old FISKARS, I'm going to take this top one over very carefully, just as it is. I'm going to lay that. I'm not touching that. I'm not opening that at all. Now this one again, I want to come over here. I want to bring my work over here. And I'm going to find my dark green because that's sort of my jumping off point. And I want to go up again. And you see they're getting smaller. You see it, the wave getting smaller. And that's what adds the dimension to a Bargello, which I've come to the conclusion. There's that one. My one up here. Everything is in order. And so this is the seam that I open up. Take 2 seconds. I think everyone's like, oh, did you do a seam ripper? I'm like, well, you know, I stitched it good, but it still comes apart. So here, look at this Bargello, this wave happening, and then I'll be getting smaller and smaller. But for now, and I literally am up and down, up and down, up and down. I'm going to go over to my sewing machine and iron these nested seams. Look how beautiful. I keep saying that. I'm so proud of myself, though. Look at that. All the work is done. Okay, so now I'm on my 7th row. This is lovely and straight, and I'm going to get even a little bit smaller to have that wave. You can see my wave. If you come away, you can see the start of my Bargello quilt. Unbelievable. In just these few minutes, I'm sewing a Bargello quilt right in front of your eyes. And I'm designing it, or you're designing it, whoever's designing it. So that's a slightly smaller than the last one. I'll do that. And then what do? I take this one over carefully, put it on the top there, and then I just do the same. And I want my wave to go up. I want all my greens, I think, when I start, I want all my greens to go up. So your eye follows that dark green to a point. And then you come back down on yourself. And then I might go down might go down a little bit, you know, like a long ski slope. Who knows? I'll see what happens. But you can tell, you can see what I'm saying, that your design, this is a design it yourself. This is a design it yourself Bargello quilt. You're not, I was thinking if you just wanted to use 20 jelly rolls or 40, you can have half the size. That's it. You just want to use one jelly roll, or 20 strips or 40 strips. I'm using 80 strips, so I'm making a bigger quilt. So now, again, I'm just going to go so that I think this is becoming a bit redundant. I will do a few more because now you know exactly what I'm doing. I'm stitching, I'm ripping, I'm finding carefully, I'm nesting my seams, I'm setting the seam, and then I'm just rolling it over. I'm rolling it over here as I'm ironing it. I think a Bargello, though, the most important thing is ironing it. I really think that now. So I'm just going to go over, right sides together, nest my seams, and I'm going to sew this, and I'm going to sew a few more, and I'll show you my progress.